Welcome to a new video lesson. In today's lesson, I will give an analysis of A Voyage to Brobdingnag's Chapter 2. So, let's begin. Chapter 2 of A Voyage to Brobdingnag, which is the part 2 of Gulliver's Travels, describes how the author, that is Gulliver, is taken care of by the farmer's 9-year-old daughter. Okay, the description shows how Gulliver has been taken to the marketplace in order to show it to the people and earn some money. Following that, Gulliver was taken to the metropolis, and the descriptions of the farmer's daughter is given. Their bonding, that is Gulliver's bonding with the daughter of the farmer, and the particulars of the journey are mentioned in this chapter. The daughter was 9 years old. Farmer's daughter was 9 years old, and she was very dexterous in her needlework. She contrived to fit Gulliver in a baby's cradle at night, and Gulliver began to learn their language. She was able to dress and undress Gulliver, and she also made 7 shirts for Gulliver. So she also washed his clothes, made his bed, and instructed him in the language of the Brobdingnagians. Okay, so Gulliver says that she is like, the daughter of the farmer is like his schoolmistress, to teach as she taught the language. Gulliver used to point at a thing, and the name of it in her own tongue, in her own language, would be said to Gulliver. The daughter of the farmer gave Gulliver the name of Grildrig, 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 which in English it would mean mannequin, and Gulliver called her Glumdalclitch, Glumdalclitch, or little nurse. Okay, so they have talked in the neighborhood and of the strange animal that they have found, and one of the farmer's friend has suggested him to show Gulliver in the marketplace in order to earn something out of showing Gulliver. What is being said out here is that these people were very excited when Gulliver was shown. The rumor was all around, the story was all around the area that the farmer had found a rare quality of animal, or rather strange animal, in the field, which was the talk of the town. And this friend of another farmer, who was a friend of the owner rather, came to his master's, that is Gulliver's master's house, in order to find out the truth of the story, and Gulliver was immediately produced and placed upon the table. and Gulliver made his reference to his master's guest. So what you see here is that Gulliver is already in a subservient mode. He has already given up. He is referring to the farmer as his master. So here, because of his size, because of his little size in comparison to the Brobdingnagians, he has already given up his self-esteem, the honor, the pride that Europeans had in the whole world, the pride they boast of, is already given up. So it is a satire on the otherness that we believe in. It is a satire on the conceit, it is satire on the pride that is present within the Europeans. The people he was made to say in their language. He was welcome when a guest comes. He did the same. He did all the things that he was directed to do. The people discovered the cause of mirth before the company at laughing, and the old fellow was fool enough to be angry out of countenance. He had a character of great miser, and to Gulliver's misfortune he well deserved the cursed advice he gave to Gulliver's master. Gulliver guessed there was some mischief when he observed his master and his friend whispering together, and sometimes pointing at Gulliver. His fears made him fancy that he overheard and understood some of the words. But the next morning, Glumdalclitch, the little nurse, that is the 9-year-old daughter of the farmer, told the whole matter to Gulliver, in which she said cunningly that the poor girl laid at Gulliver on her bosom and fell a weeping with shame and grief. She apprehended some mischief would happen to Gulliver from rude vulgar folks, who might squeeze Gulliver to death or break one of his limbs by taking Gulliver in their hands. She had also observed how modest Gulliver in his nature was, how nicely he regarded his honor and indignity. Glumdalclitch said to her papa and mamma and promised that Gulrick should be hers. But as now she found they meant to serve her as they did last year, when they pretended to give her a lamb, and many truly affirm. Gulliver was less concerned than his nurse. He had a strong hope that he should one day recover his liberty. So, what we see here is that in spite of all the conditions that Gulliver faces, he always have a hope which is still intact within him. He says that he has the hope that he would return to England, since the Great Britain, King of Great Britain, in his condition must have undergone some distress. So he is comparing his own position with the other situations and is considering that he would get all kind of support, he will get his liberty back. He considered himself to be a perfect stranger in that country, and such misfortune could never be charged upon as a reproach. Okay, if he returns to England. Okay. So his master, as he says, on the advice of the farmer's friend, carried him in a box the next day to the neighboring town and took along with him the little daughter, his little daughter, the nurse of Gulliver. So, with little door for him to go in and out and a few gimlet holes let in air, the girl had been so careful in putting a quilt for the baby's bed onto it, for Gulliver lie down on it. However, it was terribly shaken and discomposed with the journey. So, what we are seeing here is that the master is alighted in an inn which he used to frequent, and after consulting while with the innkeeper, they made necessary preparation. He hired the grultrug or the crier to give notice through the town of a strange creature to be seen at the sign of Green Eagle. So now he will be shown to different people. An animal in the country very finely shaped, about 6 feet long, and in every part to which Gulliver was compared to, and its name is Splachnak, which is somewhat 6 feet long, in every part of the body resembling human creature. Gulliver was placed upon a table in the largest room of the inn, which might be near 300 square feet. The little nurse stood on the low stool close to the table and took care of Gulliver and directed what Gulliver should do. The master, to avoid crowd, would suffer only 30 people at time to see Gulliver. He would let only 30 people enter to see Gulliver's actions. Gulliver walked about on the table as the girl commanded. She asked Gulliver question as far as she knew. Gulliver's understanding of the language reached, and Gulliver answered them as loud as he could, because his voice it was a bit problematic for his voice to reach those big giant size people. He turned about several times to the company, paid humble respect, said they are welcome, okay, which had been taught by Glumdalclitch. He took Trimble filled with liquor, which Glumdalclitch had given for a cup, and drank their health. He drew out his hanger with which he had killed one of the rats and flourished it with the manner of exercise as a pike. Having learned the art in his youth of hanging it, he was that show of 12 sets of company, and as often forced to act over and again the same fripperies, till Gulliver was half dead with weariness and vexation. And those people who had seen in Gulliver made such wonderful reports that people were ready to break down the doors to come in. The master, for his own interest, would not suffer anyone to touch Gulliver except his daughter. And to prevent the danger, benches were set around the table at such a distance as to put Gulliver out of everybody's reach. However, an unlucky schoolboy aimed a hazelnut directed at Gulliver's head, which narrowly missed Gulliver. Otherwise, the act was so violent that it would have infallibly knocked out Gulliver's brains, because the hazelnut would have been such big, would be big in comparison to the size of the Brobdingnagians. For it almost was as large as a pumpkin. So the hazelnut, everything was big in size in the Brobdingnagian province. He had the satisfaction to see the young rogue well beaten and turned out of the room. The master gave public notice that he would show Gulliver again the next market day, and in the meantime he prepared a convenient vehicle for him, which he had the reason enough to do, for it was for Gulliver was so tired with the first journey and with entertaining company for 8 hours together that he could hardly stand up on his legs or speak a word. It was at least 3 days. It took at least 3 days for his strength to recover, and that he have no rest at home. All the neighboring gentlemen from under miles came along, so that sometime Gulliver had little ease every day of the week. So he has been worked overtime. So what we see here is that instead of displaying miniature livestock in England to make money, that happened in the first part, he is put on display for money by the farmer. So can you see the difference? So this part 2, many of the issues that were brought up in Lilliput, A Voyage to Lilliput, is brought up again here. But this time Gulliver is in exactly opposite situation, where in the Voyage to Lilliput, you can see my other videos on A Voyage to Lilliput. You will get a clear understanding of that. I am not going into details of Lilliput land. Just mentioning, in Voyage to Lilliput, he took some miniature livestock from Belfusco and he showed it to England in order to gain money out of it, after he reached England. But now in Brobdingnag, he is not a person actually, he has become a thing. He has been compared with a splachnak, an animal of that country. So he is being displayed around for money by the farmer. So he has become an object. As a whole, the second voyage serves to emphasize the importance of size and the relativity of human culture. So we take pride in the human culture by asserting that our culture is the best, or even similar racial beliefs are present that this culture, within the human culture, this culture is the best among the world, which has been asserted all around, which has been imposed on people. So what we see here is that Your culture, your nature, your existence is quite relative. Your size is quite relative. You are nothing. You are nothing, but you are nothing in comparison with others. Okay, one moment you are a giant, the next moment you can be a Lilliput. One moment you can be a giant among Lilliputs, the next moment you can be a Lilliput among giants. Okay, so Gulliver's initial experience with the Brobdingnagians are not quite positive, The farmer virtually enslaves him, forcing him to perform tricks for paying spectators. So what we see here is that the power that Gulliver held in Lilliputian land, where every clause that was imposed on him, every clause of his subservient nature, every clause that was imposed on him by the Lilliputian king, asserted how powerful Gulliver is, right? And his efforts in destroying the fleet, bringing the ships of Belfusco, and drowning the fire with his discharge of the urine, shows how powerful he is. But in comparison to that, the same person is nothing but a slave in this province. The same person, is virtually turned into a slave. He has to do everything what the owner says, what his master says, and this servile attitude is quite easily ingrained within Gulliver's psyche. How? He refers to the farmer. He refers the farmer as his master. So the enslavement emphasizes the fundamental humanity of the Brobdingnagians. Just like Europeans, they are happy to make quick buck when the opportunity arises. So there is no basic difference, but it is a picture. It is a situation where a mirror is shown to them. A mirror is shown to the society. Okay, where Gulliver used the same trick. Of showing the livestock from the Lilliput land or Belfusco in order to gain money. Similarly, here he has been shown around in order to gain some money by the farmer. Okay, so next let's move on. The master found how profitable Gulliver was likely to him, resolved that he would carry a Gulliver to the most considerable cities of the kingdom, okay, in order to gain profit. Having therefore himself all things necessary for a long journey and settled his affairs at home, he took leave of his wife, and upon the 17th August 1703, about 2 months after Gulliver's arrival, they set for the metropolis. They means the farmer's daughter, and obviously Gulliver. Okay, to situate near the middle of the empire. The metropolis was situated near the middle of the empire, about 3,000 miles distance from the house. It is interesting to note here is that Gulliver says our house. So there is a kind of belongingness within Gulliver that he is getting. Okay, so what he is getting here is that the master made his daughter glummed. The thing that we are getting here is that the enslavement is not forceful, rather a coercive one. Gulliver knows that he would not be able to exert his force against these people, against the farmer. So it is better to be subservient, to be in this place in order to help these people, to earn money, and in return he would be saved, he would not be killed. If Gulliver would have taken a stance where he was against all these people, against his so-called master, then he would have been killed by them by thinking it to be a dangerous creature. So the enslavement is within the psyche of the person, of the narrator. Okay, but what we see here is that the enslavement is in one way torturous, where he is made to work, but at the same time it is not torturous but rather a happy giving. How? Through the behavior that she faces, through the behavior that this person faces from the farmer's 9 years old daughter. Okay, the master made his daughter ride behind him. She carried the box on her lap. The box was tied to her waist. The girl had lined on all sides and the softest clothing she could get, well quilted underneath. Furnished it with the baby's bed, provided Gulliver with linen and other necessities, and made everything as convenient as she could. That is, the box was provided with all the necessities, all the convenience that she could. They had no other country but a boy of the house who rode after them with the luggage. The master's plan was to show Gulliver in all the towns, by the way, and to step out the road for 50 or somewhat 100 miles to any village or person of quality house, where he might expect custom. They made easy journeys of not somewhat above 7 to 8 score miles a day, for the nurse, that is Glumdalclitch, on purpose to spare Gulliver, complained that she was tired with the trotting of the horse. Okay, so in order to help Gulliver out of the distress, out of the choking that he faces, Glumdalclitch would complain that she is tired, and in order she would buy some rest for Gulliver also. She often took out Gulliver from the box at Gulliver's own desire and give him fresh air. How Gulliver saw the country, but always held him fast by a leading string. He held him fast by a leading string. He passed over 6 or 5 rivers, many degrees broader and deeper than the Nile or the Ganges. They were hardly rivulet. and Gulliver was shown in 18 large towns besides many villages and to private families. On the 26th day of October, they arrived at Metropolis. So, while they were going to the Metropolis, in the course, they traveled several places and they showed their shows went along in those places. Okay. He called the Metropolis was called Lorb Rule Grud. LORBRULGRUD, or which means pride of the universe. So the metropolis in their language was called Lorb Rule Grud, okay, which was meant the pride of the universe. The master took the lodging at the principal street of the city, not far from the royal palace, and put out bills in usual forms containing an exact description of Gulliver's person and purse. He had a large room between 300 or 400 feet. He provided a table 60 feet in diameter, upon which Gulliver was to take or act his parts. Gulliver was shown 10 times a day, to the wonder and satisfaction of the people. He could now speak the language tolerably well and perfectly understood every word that was spoken to him. Besides, he had learned their alphabet and could make a shift to explain a sentence here and there, for Glumdalclitch had been his instructor, carried a little book in her pocket, not much larger than what Swift says, a Sanson's Atlas. Okay, it was a common treatise for the use of young girls, give a short account of their religion. Out of this, she taught Gulliver the letters and interpreted the words. So, what we see here is that the enslavement is taking place through different modes. Okay, so the number one mode that we see here is that at the personal level, the enslavement is taking place. Okay, how? Here the enslavement is taking place by these people's belief. Okay, these people believes that this is a miniature version of any animal. So, and that is imposed on Gulliver. Are you understanding? So, it is at a personal level. From the personal level of Gulliver, the enslavement is taking place out of the size that matters. Okay, size, he believes that the size is more powerful. We all believe size is more powerful. Okay, he cannot fight against them. He cannot fight against the people of Brobdingnag. So he rather gives in to the power, gives in to the size. So the enslavement is coming here. Next, the enslavement is coming through the other's views. Okay, the one that I said just now is through the people are considering him to be a miniature one. He is less powerful. Obviously, he is less powerful, but what it shows is that he is less powerful also because these people think him to be. He is being looked down upon, right? He is looked down upon in this situation. Clear? So what we see here is that, but also we can see that a level of coercion is taking place. A level of coercion is taking place where these people are believing that he is a miniature, and also the coercion is taking place from the perspective of Gulliver, where he is giving in to the love, the care of Glumdalclitch, the little nuts. This chapter shows how these people are nothing but are relatively giant. They are a satire. This chapter is a satire on Gulliver's own actions that had happened in the previous part, in part 1 of in chapter 8, I guess, where he has shown the livestock to the people. Okay, so here we see that these people are nothing but a mirror image of Gulliver in Lilliput, where Gulliver was the giant. Here Gulliver becomes the Lilliput, and these Brobdingnagians becomes the giant which Gulliver was in Lilliput. So as a whole, this second voyage serves to emphasize the importance of size and relativity of human culture. Okay, and this enslavement emphasizes the fundamental humanity of the Brobdingnagians, who, like the European counterparts, are happy to make money by any opportunity that comes on their way. Okay, so the Brobdingnagians' existence shows how these people are enslaving a powerful race, a representative of the powerful race, that is the Europeans, in their country. So the Europeans may be powerful in a place like their own land, all over the earth, to the places they have conquered, in the places they have conquered, but they are also powerful in Lilliput and Belfusco, but they are not powerful in a place. They are rather miniature. They becomes a miniature version of their existence in a land like Brobdingnag. Okay, so this is all about relativity of human culture and human existence. This is shown in this chapter. Thank you.